Here with Janet Barr, the co-founder of Blue Light Transition. My name is Tommy, also the co-founder of Blue Light Transition. Wanted to get a few pieces of information. I know it's a bit of a daunting world out there for new leavers, so wanted to pick your brains. Um, how did you find it? I know you've been out for 10 years, putting yourself back 10 years. How did you find things after first leaving the service?
It's quite scary and quite daunting. You've been in an organisation that's very structured, and sometimes leaving that can be really um, quite alarming, I suppose.
Mm,
And you can feel that there's this whole new world that you know nothing about. There's language that you don't understand because you're kind of used to the police lingo. So it's adjusting to that actually was quite hard, I would say.
mm. So, absolutely, it sounds a common conversation I'm having is that transition into the civilian world and things working in a very different way. So, what one piece of advice would you give someone who's maybe just left the service?
So I think I would say what you need to do is let go of that mindset, let go of the policing mindset, and be open. Open yourself to fresh perspectives, new pathways, and new opportunities. Yeah, just really having an open mind to quite an exciting new world, actually.
Absolutely. You've gone down the route of safeguarding, and I'm speaking to a lot of people who are considering doing the same. But there's so many opportunities out there for people who've just left the service. And I think one of the main things I'm finding out regularly is that people don't realize the value of what they've done and how that transitions into other roles. So, what other roles are maybe out there for someone to consider?
Okay, so I think yeah, you're right. There's a whole wealth of different things that you may not necessarily think of. So, quite a lot of people have gone into driving for big companies because they've enjoyed that because there's not much pressure. Another one that people don't necessarily think of is compliance, world of compliance, who would be quite keen on ex-police officers because they're used to being quite detail focused. So I think that's a good one. And then possibly you could think about cybersecurity, that
Massive at the
that sort of
moment.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
absolutely.
And there's so many avenues to these sorts of roles as well. So obviously cybersecurity is great. We're certainly the need for that is only going to get greater. But if we're looking at compliance, there's so many segments to compliance as well. And I know if we're just being top level, there's obviously AI at the moment. There's a growing need for compliance within the AI space. So that's a really interesting thing. And I think officers will be amazed at okay, well, I've done this, and this is really something I can add value to in another company. So that's a really interesting take, and I think compliance is certainly an interesting one to consider as well.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And just going on from what you've just said, then obviously you've been talking to a lot of people, and how have you found it when you're speaking to people? What how have you found the conversations going, and what have they been saying about it?
There's no denying there's confusion. So when people leave the service, they are firstly confused. There's an element of people having conversations around who the hell am I? Where do my skills lie? I think if I was going to give one piece of advice to someone who just left the service, I would say you need to start thinking in a more commercial way. So in the most simple terms, on your CV, that could be as simple as what was the before state of when before I left the service and what was the after state. So if we're being super generalized, I was part of a team that cut X incidents by 15%. This is how recruiters are going to drive your application forward. It's how hiring managers are going to look at things. They want a before and after state. And I'm never seeing that from that officer mindset. They're very much thinking at things at a different angle. And as we go into the commercial world, you will need to start thinking more commercial. And I think that's absolutely vital for people making that transition. So that'll be my one piece of advice. And that happens daily from my conversations is we just need to shift people from that police mindset into a more commercial mindset because we're no longer going after bad guys. We're saving money for the companies. We're maybe cutting costs and we're just being a little bit more creative with things. And that's the values there. We've got the skills to do that, but we just need to frame things in a different way, and that's massively important. And we'll take some time to start thinking like that. So that's my main piece of advice. So listen, if anyone's confused, feel free to shoot either of us a message. We'd be happy to help.
Sounds good. Thank you, Tommy.